Hey there everyone, it is Ada here with Game 2 of a best of 3 between our red Terran mouzThorZaIN and his purple Zerg opponent CNMoMaN. I am about to spoil what happened in game number 1, but not before a prolonged drink of water. And we did see mouzThorZaIN lose our first game here in this best of 3, lost to an early attack by the Zerg player who was able to cripple the economy of ThorZaIN, took out a lot of harvesters, and guaranteed that he could not recover from that early attack. Able to take the first game pretty handily and pretty quickly was our Zerg player here. We'll see if ThorZaIN can bounce back and take game number 2 and force a game 3 in this best of 3. At any rate, this will be a Terran versus Zerg on the map Shakuras Plateau. A very lovely name for a map. I always love saying Shakuras. It's so much fun. I recommend you do that at least 4 times a day just to maintain, positive health, positive outlook on life. At any rate, this is a very macro-oriented map. There's a lot of bases and it's pretty huge as far as these maps go. There's a base between these two players because they did both spawn on the bottom, but it can't be accessed by any normal means. You need either Blinkstalkers or Colossi, or of course dropships can ferry units down here, but it can't be reached just by normal units on foot. There is a normal expansion with the typical 8 mineral patches and 2 geysers, so very typical play right here on this map. We do see ThorZaIN establishing a barracks here on the low ground, just because since this map is so huge, you're free to do things a little more passively. You don't need to wall off right in the early game, because of course the Zerg player won't be able to attack you and overwhelm you quite as easily as he could on some other maps. Meanwhile, moMaN has macro ideas of his own, going to set up a 15 hatch down here at his natural expansion, so definitely going a macro build, getting that hatchery before anything else it looks like, but just now getting that up pretty quickly. So he will have a 2-base Zerg against a 1-base Terran very shortly. This first barracks is about to be done, the second one is just over halfway done. ThorZaIN getting 2 racks in the early game, so he might going a little bit aggressive here. This SCV going out to see just what's going on in the Zerg player's base, going through this middle, which does have 2 watchtowers kind of surrounded by this thick tree growth happening around them. And the SCV is just now passing the midway point of the map, going to be going the correct way, passing a drone on the way, just saying hi, blinking straight through each other because workers of course can do that. It's so much fun when they do. And we see ThorZaIN does now see the hatchery going up, might alert him to possibly up the ante, maybe get a little bit aggressive here in the early game, as he does already have 2 barracks, going to be sending Marines rallied straight to his opponent's natural. So ThorZaIN has chosen to react to this first hatchery opening with an aggressive build, going that 2 racks attack. Pretty much a very, very scary situation if you are the Zerg player, because he did go hatchery first, and now he might be punished for it by our Terran player, who is sending Marines, and you see a flood of red dots going across the map, getting rallied right under this Overlord, setting up a bunker. So very, very aggressive going to be attack happening from ThorZaIN. These drones pretty scared right now as they set up 1 spine crawler to defend them. That might be enough, but on the other hand, it might not be enough, as that Overlord definitely hating life right now because he is dead. Oh, whoa! Someone, apparently Chill is now going by the name DidZZ, and well, he lagged, unfortunately, so he was told to get out, and he did leave. So Chill number 2 happening in this game. Unfortunate. And yes, it does look like Chill will never live that down, getting told. Actually, it was a game with ThorZaIN was playing. It was Game 7 ThorZaIN against Naniwa in the TSL3 finals. Chill, one of the commentators, did end up causing some lag, and they kept telling him to get out. He was ultimately forced to leave the game. Why am I even talking about this? It has nothing to do with the present situation. Look that up online if it's interesting. It is really funny, I must at least say that much. We see 9 Marines going to be pulling back to the watchtower right here. That attack was repelled by the spine crawler, which of course does outrange a bunker. A lot of Zerglings just chilling right now, making sure their home base is defended. This Queen doing her job, vomiting on cue whenever it needs more vomit. Does a hatchery, and there we go. Hatchery loving the vomit from its counterpart, the Queen. 2 more Marines coming to join their friends at the watchtower. We see ThorZaIN took the opportunity to expand behind that initial pressure, and now has a wall off complete with 3 barracks, about as Baneling proof as possible. So very well done by our Terran player right now. ThorZaIN establishing a 3 racks wall, now changing the rally point from his opponent's natural to his own natural. We see these Marines moving out, trying to see what they can do in the way of attacking, but this 1 spine crawler will say no, and that Marine heard that no with great impact. It said no straight up into his skull and crushed that one Marine in 2 hits. Unfortunate for him and his family, but that Marine did die in the line of duty, so they will be compensated. Or, you know, maybe not. Who really knows what happens when a Marine dies? Does he have family? Does he have people who depended on him? Unfortunately, not anymore, because he is dead. These barracks moving down to the low ground, going to be setting up a wall off in the lower portion of this ramp, going to just prevent the Zerg player from getting anywhere close to his natural expansion, his natural orbital command, which just now became an orbital and is dropping a mule right on cue, so he will be getting that income tab boosted quite a little bit. ThorZaIN is actually down in the harvester count by 9 right now, suffering in the mineral count by about 300, but he does have more gas coming in because he has more SCVs on gas than moMaN has drones. Looking at the production tab, we have Stimpack just now starting for our Terran player, along with a Hellion. Does he have another reactive Hellion? He does have 1 Hellion and a Tech Lab going on the other factory, so he's actually going to be going some siege tank play possibly, while right now he is content to just kind of churn out Hellions while researching Infernal Pre-Igniter, so he's going to have some very Hellion heavy play right now. Of course, that is that Blue Flame upgrade with a great name, Infernal Pre-Igniter. That's also something that you should try to say at least 3 times a day to maintain a positive outlook on life. This Queen now on Creep Consumer duty, going to be dropping that. Spreading Creep is our Zerg player while setting up an Evo chamber right on his ramp just to block it off quite a little bit. This Spine Crawler just now starting, that drone adventuring into that land of becoming a building. Always fun for drones here. We have a Roach Warren a little over halfway done, so some Roach play coming out of the Zerg place shortly. We have the Terran player setting up his own base, having this Tech Lab churning out Stimpack. It's still only halfway done because, of course, that does take forever and a day to research. Meanwhile, Infernal Pre-Igniter, the fast upgrade, well, not fast, but faster than Stimpack at least, it will be about 3/4 of the way done. Meanwhile, on the Zerg player side, he has ground armor level 1 to go along with metabolic boost. That Zergling speed going to make his Zerglings a little more scary. This barracks lifting off to allow its counterparts, the Marines, through. That wall off, of course, can only let units through if they lift off. We have a Hellion just kind of exploring the area over here. Got 1 kill, probably a drone that was a little bit overzealous. Maybe a Zergling that was on the tower, who knows. Just 1 kill for that Hellion so far. It is joined by 3 of its counterparts, 4 or 5 of its counterparts actually. 6 Hellions coming in, scanning to get rid of its Creep Tumors. Not too many to be gotten rid of, but there's just 1 up here. But it's all the way up the ramp with Spine Crawlers and Queens waiting for these units, just daring them to come in. These Hellions will take that dare, and 1 Hellion will pay the price with over half of its health. So he's not so happy about life right now. We see the Creep is receding, so a success there on the Terran player's part. These Marines going to be content retreating back home while these Hellions stay here to kind of man the fort. No, they will back up a little bit just to get off that Creep, because of course Creep is scary when you don't know what's going on when you aren't a Zerg unit. We see Roach speed a little about halfway done. He's also getting missile attacks. The Zerg player getting upgrades galore at the moment. Meanwhile, the Terran player has almost finished researching siege tech, so all of those upgrades coming out of the factory for our Terran player. Getting a lot of mech heavy play right now. He also has combat shield for the Marines, just that 10 extra health, along with weapons level 1 for infantry. That 1 Hellion getting sniped for free. That's always unfortunate, but these Roaches are so happy to have gotten 1 free kill. moMaN is up by about 17 in the supply count, so very nicely done by him. These Hellions going to hide inside these trees. Will the Roaches find them? It does look like they won't go in there. Hellions safe right now, breathing a sigh of relief, able to not get attacked by those Roaches. Meanwhile, we see the Roaches going into the Terran territory. Again, I love that phrase. It's so much fun to say. These siege tank positioned so nicely on this ramp just behind these barracks. Going to town on these Roaches as they're taking a lot of damage, but they managed to snipe that Tech Lab before it's able to finish the research, which of course was just combat shields. It wasn't, say, Stimpack, which would set the Terran player back even more, but he does manage to delay it a little bit as we see a lot of units getting roasted away right there. Were those workers? It does look like they were only Zerglings. Oh, only Zerglings, but still some units getting taken out as these Roaches very angry and taking some Hellions out, making them pay the price for taking out Zerglings. That 1 Hellion won't escape, so all of those Hellions are now in whatever afterlife Hellions go to. This hatchery did get saved by those Roaches coming back to save it, and it is about halfway done. The 3rd hatchery going up for our Zerg player right now. So we will shortly see a 3-base Zerg going up against a 2-base Terran. Pretty typical for that Zerg player to be 1 base ahead. Combat Shields has restarted for our Terran player. So sad it got interrupted by these rude Roaches, denying that 10 extra health for the Marines on the field. We have Terran Vehicle Weapons level 1 also being researched by the Terran player, getting those siege tanks and Hellions just a little bit more damage. We also see a Thor, so very mech heavy for our Terran player right now. He is on 3 factories, 2 on Tech Labs, 3 on Tech Labs rather. all ready to churn out siege tanks and Thors. He's making a Thor there, a siege tank there, and a siege tank there, getting a lot of units right now. Of course, that will make this vehicle weapons level 1 all that much more effective. The army kind of just stationed here, these siege tanks sieging up and making sure that no units can come in here and interrupt the process of this 3rd command center becoming a planetary fortress. Always love seeing planetaries because they're so very strong and they completely defend this base against all but the most dangerous assault from the Zerg player. Meanwhile, the Zerg, staying true to his Zergy nature, is taking a 4th base, going to still stay 1 base ahead of his Terran counterparts. Meanwhile, his army is rallied over here. We see some Mutalisks flying ahead. That is actually 8 Mutalisks to go along with, it looks like, 13 Roaches, and a Queen just over here kind of chilling with the army, dropping some creep tumors and also providing moral support. Transfusions, if the situation calls for that. We see a lot of Zerglings right now. That is actually 24 plus 6, so 30 Zerglings. These Mutas going to see what they can do in the way of harassment or possibly taking out siege tanks that are out of position. We see that unfortunate Marine getting taken out at the Watchtower. Mutalisks laughing all the way back, telling their comrades about how they destroyed a poor Marine. We see a medevac trap happening on the top, skirting on the very, very outer edges of the map. Might get seen right here if he flies too close to over here. Maybe, no, it looks like he will be able to avoid the expansion. Probably saw that there was indeed an expansion, saw that drone mining against this mineral patch. So he has a decision right now. Is he going to take this drop and reveal it to take out this 1 hatchery, or is he going to try to do a little more damage with the element of surprise? He has chosen the latter route, going to try to find somewhere else to do a little more damage. The Zerg player is still none the wiser about this drop. He is moving more drones over here now, so it does look like ThorZaIN will decide to drop 4 Marines right here, keeping them hidden in the dark to the edge of that base. Meanwhile, moving the medevac rather down here as we see the maybe confrontation happening in the middle, but we'll keep an eye on that as the Marines have been dropped in this base while the Marines over here are attacking as well. These drones forced to evacuate. These drones up here getting killed off. Not enough reaction time from our Zerg player right now. These drones are losing their lives. Meanwhile, in the middle, the Marines are moving into the middle. The Terran army is setting up their camp right here next to the Watchtower. These Marines are back into the medevac, able to kill some drones and then escape. These Mutalisks so angry about that. These Marines still up here doing a ton of damage to this base. Always hate to do that when you have the Zerg player. Looking at the workers lost tab, we see 12 workers lost by the Zerg player right now. 12 being killed by ThorZaIN. Meanwhile, ThorZaIN is scanning and taking out creep tumors, so a lot of things happening on ThorZaIN's part, attacking 2 expansions at once while moving out with his main army, getting a strong foothold in the middle of the map. He has that established. Meanwhile, this medevac still has all 4 Marines still alive and at full health, it looks like, dropping them again, going to be sniping drones on the gas. Meanwhile, the Mutalisks are coming in and going to repel the assault, getting a couple of Marines. Meanwhile, it does look like the Mutalisks are taking out everything right there, the Marines along with the medevac that carried them. So sad for them, but they managed to do a ton of damage, it looks like. The Harvester tab, ThorZaIN still is in, a little bit behind, but Mules will fix that and will actually keep him even in the mineral counts. Meanwhile, this army is seriously moving up in the world, moving closer to the Zerg player's base, sieging up and playing leapfrog with those tanks. A ton of Banelings coming in for the Zerg player, going to do as much as they can, but nice spread on ThorZaIN's part, going to try to evade these Banelings. Tanks will get taken out in the front, but of course, they are in the front for a reason, and we have Marines able to escape the ire of those Banelings. Most Marines making out of that Baneling landmine field alive and now stimming to chase Roaches back. The Zerg player is on the defensive right now, morphing in more Banelings, going to be arriving very shortly. They're about halfway done right now. The Terran player sees those and decides to back up a little bit because, of course, he does not want to be next to those Banelings when they do pop because his Marines would get destroyed in a matter of seconds. Those Zerglings flying in and getting destroyed so very quickly. Thor's right here chilling in the middle of a siege tank army field along with Marines just in the front. This is very nice play from ThorZaIN right now, establishing his camp right outside of the ramp up to the Zerg player's natural. These Banelings trying to figure out what the best time to strike would be. Meanwhile, ThorZaIN is taking out this evolution chamber with siege tanks, just raining down bombs on them from a distance, which is what siege tanks do best. Roach is trying to do a little bit, Zerglings trying to do a little bit up here, but none of them will have any effect at all. Very futile assaults from the Terran player, or from the Zerg player rather, as Terran has established this army so very well. Siege tanks in the back, fully ready to fire at anything that comes into range. These Banelings will be coming. It looks like they're going for the units, and these Banelings will try to get as many as possible. Those Marines losing their lives all the way up there. A couple of siege tanks getting taken out, but Thor right here will get taken out as well. Both Thors losing their lives. Only siege tanks left against 1 Thor in the background. We see Roaches getting a nice concave. Queens join the fight as well as they're trying to repel the Terran player, get them off the creep, get them off the Zerg territory. Terran player has reinforcements streaming in from his base. We see this medevac pulling a Thor away, but that Thor, it looks like, will still... No, it gets... The Thor gets pulled away. Excellent play from Medevac right there on ThorZaIN's part. That Thor is on 27 health. ThorZaIN staying true to his name and loving the unit that shares the Thor part with his name. Getting that Thor, I'm sorry, I'm so excited right now. Nerd Trail's running down my spine, seeing that such sexy play from the Medevac.